Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond BMR. I'm your host, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. This show goes beyond cryptids and Bigfoot. We take you down a much deeper rabbit hole. We take on subjects beyond our very own realms and realities. We look at strange phenomena and the unexplained, such as time travel, alien and UFO existence, strange hauntings and mysteries, as well as the paranormal. We focus on all of these rabbit holes come full circle. Tonight, Amber, Amber's ParaWorld joins me. And it would not be a paranormal night if my two co-hosts were not from the Blondes and Booze podcast. Subscribe to them on YouTube, Krista and Brandy. Don't forget to subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube and Texas Front Porch on YouTube. If you like our content, the super chat is open. That's right, the super chat is open long after the show is done. The super thanks is open. If you care to donate to that, I would appreciate it. However, sharing us out and subscribing is appreciated just as much. You can find us on Odyssey Radio, as well as KPNL Radio with the lovely Selene out in Oregon. Don't forget to hit the alert bell and subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob, Texas Front Porch, the Blondes and the Booze podcast, and our guest tonight, Amber from Amber's ParaWorld. Her link is in the description. Don't forget Mondays, Texas Front Porch, 7:30 in the East. Tuesdays, Van Buren Variety, 8 o'clock in the East. Beyond BMR, that's right, on Tuesdays, 9 in the East. Jason McLean does something called Mysterious Library on Untold Radio AM. You can find him over there at 10 in the East. Wednesdays is the Siru Papers with Jason McLean at 9 in the East, followed up right after Jason McLean Questions Everything at 10 o'clock in the East. Thursdays, right back here, Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob, 1 o'clock in the East. That's in the afternoon, not in the morning. Later on that evening, the Blondes and Booze podcast can be found at 9 in the East. And again, you get more booze, but you get a little more woo with the booze on Fridays, 9 o'clock in the East. And don't forget our lovely friend Jessica Jones. You can find her on Spacedale Radio Saturday and Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Daylight Time. Thank you for that. I'm going to bring up my two lovely co-hosts. We got Krista.
Hey.
And we have Brandy.
Hi, everybody.
What's up, girls?
You see it.
I see it. I do see it. Looking good. I see Brandy looking good so far. She's got no problems on the internet side, which is always a plus.
You just jinxed her.
Well, I don't believe in jinxes. So, I had to throw that in there. Yeah, we have a great show. Tex is usually, he likes to co-host. Tex has got crazy hours, and he and I used to do Brunch with Bigfoot Rob together. And so, he's been doing Beyond BMR, but he said, I'll take the day off. You're having Amber on, and you might as well team up with the gals. I said, it's a fantastic idea. And we got a great show. In fact, Amber, if you're ready, I am going to pull you up. Make sure your hair is ready. You're smiling, looking good. There she is. From West Virginia, everybody. She is from West Virginia. I won't make the comment that I made earlier. She's looking good. Welcome to the show, Amber.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, nice to have you.
Yeah, this will be fun.
Yeah, this is awesome having you, Amber. This is pretty cool because most of the shows, like a lot of our shows across the board, it's on cryptids. Now, this show at night, I try to make it different. If you might have heard in my introduction, we talk about everything. Not, Bigfoot and cryptids, they take up 10 or 15% of the conversation. In fact, even tonight, I believe everything is, connected, right? Whether it's in the paranormal and cryptids, I think they all have similar elements. But, I've had one Bigfoot encounter in my lifetime, but as Brandy and Krista both know, I've had a lot of crazy paranormal stuff going
Mhm.
on. I mean, we'll talk about that a little bit. A lot of people have heard it, but that's why I was excited to get the three of you now together to hash this out, but more so talk about what you've experienced and what you're all about. And, I always just hear medium. I hear this thing medium, psychic mediums. But I noticed on your YouTube page, Amber's ParaWorld. That's correct. Is that Amber's
Mhm.
ParaWorld? Yeah. You say that you're a physical medium. Is that correct?
Yes.
So my first question to get the show rolling is, what's the difference between like a physical medium? I mean, are they all the same, or what's just, I don't know. I'm new. I'm not. The girls know that I'm kind of a novice to this. So, what the hell is a physical medium?
There is a difference. So a psychic is going to look into your future and kind of see things that are going to happen or could happen. A physical medium is channeling spirit. So not all psychics can do that. Some can, but even with psychics or physical mediums, everybody has different abilities. Everybody's going to see spirit differently or get different connections with them. So mine is kind of just talking to dead people, that kind of stuff.
I really like that. I read this book called The Necromancer, and I was a kid, and I didn't realize what this book was all about. It was about some person that was psychic that tore apart corpses and read their thoughts from the dead.
Oh,
Now, I don't
wow.
know. That's I don't know if that's make believe, but you know what? Yeah, I
They
like
probably
that.
did.
So you don't believe in necromancy.
I mean, I would not do that, but
I think Brandy and Krista would.
What are you saying? We're kind of sick like that, or
Yeah,
what?
well, just a little bit. But that's why I love you guys, though.
How old were you when you read that book?
About 9 or 10. I don't know. The first book that I read was the Amityville Horror in 5th grade, and I didn't understand it, but it freaked me out. I think it broke me.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's what's wrong with you. Okay,
Yeah,
we got it now.
mystery solved.
yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Cat's out of the bag. Hey, so Amber, anyways, why don't you walk us through a little bit about, what you've done? So I imagine that do you counsel people or do you investigate? I mean, just give us a little, go wherever you want to go with this, your investigations, or what do you think, do you help people on the side or tell us a little about Amber?
I do offer, I do private readings as well. I do that. I'll do, I do tea leaf readings as well, and they're very accurate, but I also channel loved ones for people. And I think with any medium, or anybody that's you're kind of, been a counselor for them, you're helping them through this difficult time, and you have to show empathy with them because, they're hurting, and, I do my best to connect with their loved ones, give them messages, let them know that they're okay. Because a lot of people, they're hurt, when you lose somebody, it really hurts you. And some people don't pay attention to the messages. And a lot of times their loved ones are giving them messages all along. Sometimes I'll be doing a reading and they're like, I just want to talk to them again. And, I'll see this door closing or a tapping. And I'm like, is there a door that keeps closing back and forth in your house? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's your grandpa. He's showing me that he's making these noises to connect with you, but they're missing it because you're too sad. Sometimes your emotions can get in the way. But I also like going on investigations. I like to go to places and not know a lot about the location and just see what I pick up on and then kind of compare it to what happened afterwards. So that's always fun.
So I had Barry Littleton on last Tuesday night. We got into a lot of the same subject material. Do you help people transfer to the other side?
Yes, I can help them do that. Your house, our words are really powerful, and we forget that. Some people will kind of hide under the blankets and say they're tormenting me, but sometimes all you have to do is say, hey, I live here now. You don't go outside. You're not allowed in my door. You can stay outside, but you can't come in, and just set ground rules. I always say they're like toddlers. Some listen, some don't.
Yeah, true.
There's not as many demonic hauntings as people think. It doesn't happen as often as people think.
ever get scared when you
Um,
dabble in the
it's a
paranormal?
demon. What is it?
You ever get scared when you dabble into like the paranormal and talking with the dead?
I do. I do. A lot of times it's my own fault. Like it'll be like a shadow, like some light play with my flashlight, and I'll freak myself out. Or the human factor is what kind of gets me the most. Is if I'm in a cemetery alone, because I film alone most of the time, and then a car rolls up and people get out, then I'm kind of like, okay, maybe I need to leave. Because I don't trust humans. I mean, for the most part, I mean, ghosts are
we
fine.
keep saying that over and over that I trust the dead more than the living.
Yes, I've met so many dead people that I would love to have just like sat down and have a cup of coffee with. I mean,
Yep, exactly.
I mean, I've met some buttholes too, but
Well, it's even funny because even people that do cryptid research, they say they're more scared of the human element than they are the cryptid, which, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, it really is.
If Tex was on the show, he'd talk about all the crackheads and everybody else running around trying to roll you for money over there in Brown Springs. And speaking of Tex, Christy and Brandy, unlike Tex, I do allow my co-hosts to speak and ask questions. So you can chime in anytime you like.
Sounds good.
I got in a little bit last night,
Yeah, well, you got 7 minutes in. I counted.
Okay, good. That was better than 3 from the time before,
So it's cool that I got all three of you together, so you guys can all kind of walk me through this. And so, Brandy, go ahead, Brandy. You got something? I'll let you get going here real quick. So I got to.
Amber, I was just wondering. I mean, were you aware that you had gifts from early on in life, or did this something develop later on, or something you just noticed later on in life?
Yes, I was aware of it. From the time I was about 5, I didn't embrace it the way I should have. Like even in my early 20s, I let it scare me. I wasn't aware of, how powerful our words are and that I could stop that. I had a really terrifying experience. When was it? Probably 10 years ago. And, I reached out and I had spoken to a shaman through Facebook, and he literally was like, look, when you have abilities, you're like this flashlight in the dark. What happens if you hold a light outside at night? He's like, bugs will come to it. He's like, imagine the spirits are like that. Mm-hmm. He's like, all you have to do is just set your boundaries. And that's all it took. And I'm like, okay. And then I started meditating. I meditate all the time. Just embracing it, because it's not going to go away. We could ignore it, but it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nobody else in your family had any abilities that you knew of it, that you just kind of come about this on your own?
No, it runs in my family. My mom, my aunt, my daughter, my great-great-grandma, whom I never got to know because she passed away when I was little, but she practiced some kind of healing.
Hoodoo,
some healing magic. Yeah.
Whatever that is.
I didn't find that out till later on, but
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
But it definitely runs in the family.
Oh my goodness. So, did you grow up with them actually doing these things, with you around, or
no? Everybody just
determined.
Everybody just kind of stayed away from it. Like they would have know things or feel things, but nobody really like went out and explored it. You know what I mean? Like it was it just happened, and
they just said it was their gut told them that,
yes,
kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I get it.
So did you go ahead, BMR?
No, Krista, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you if you studied under anybody, to help you embrace it or enhance it besides the shaman, or
no. And my conversations with him were just for like a couple of like maybe like a week or so, or it wasn't very long. It was just like him basically just telling me, hey, you can do this, and that's all it takes. We all have that power in us. Mm-hmm. We all are, no matter what's coming at you through a spirit box or in a cemetery, whatever, you have the power to be like, stop, back up, leave me alone.
Yep.
We have that power, and they don't want us. They want to scare us. That's a lot of them just try to scare you.
Yeah. Do you do like private investigations and stuff, hunts and stuff? Do you have a team?
No, it's just me.
Oh, wow. All by yourself, really?
Oh, wow. Amber, you're getting props from me that these gals go out with 50 people in the field. So I'm kidding. I respect the booze. I do. I like to have fun with that.
I don't mind doing group things with with people. But sometimes it just depends on the location. There are some places I've been to that the spirits kind of like small groups. They're not going to be as active if there's a bunch of people. And it also has to do with like whoever's in your group. What if somebody's had like a crap day, and nothing against that, but like if they've had a bad day and they're angry and they're just upset, that energy is going to like affect everybody that's living too. So it can make you like miss stuff, Yeah.
Gotta say, I wish you were closer, because honestly, you do a lot like we do,
Yeah.
Think of.
Yeah, I and I don't like investigating with huge groups either. I really don't. Now, I have fun when there's events and things, and I get to go along with other people and help them along, and I love that stuff. But when it comes down to me doing it, I 2 or 3 people max is what I like. That's about it.
I mean, I like going in places and just kind of sitting in the dark with no light and just seeing what I hear, because our ears are the best. I mean, using our senses are the best equipment we could ever have.
You are correct.
So let me ask you this: you were saying that anybody can do this. Now, obviously, no. I mean, you girls together, I know that you study this, and I know you practice this, and that's what you do. Let's say somebody like me, as an example, could I, if I concentrated, could I and I'm not talking about pulling out no Ouija board. I'm not talking about doing any rituals or anything like that. Could an average Joe go and just get in a room where it's calm? Maybe you do a little meditation, something like that. And let's say I want to contact my father, who passed away like 8 years ago. I've gotten a lot of clues. He's been around just from him. I know for a fact. I can tell you a little later. But can you just sit there as an individual, anybody, even in chat, listening later, can you actually, if you set your mind to it, can you conjure up a lost one, or do you advise against that because you don't know what you're doing?
Yeah, anybody can talk to. I mean, whenever
but I'm talking about getting a response back, though.
You have to be listening. Sometimes it can come in a form of like a thought that is not your own, or that intuition, like a little nudge, and you're like, hey, what should I do? And then you're leaning towards something, and it comes as little signs as well. But yeah, absolutely. And anybody can open up their abilities, and it takes meditation and practice. I truly believe in meditation, because especially like negative energy clearing meditations, some people kind of might take offense to that, because I'll send them some, I'm like, get rid of this energy. And they're like, well, it's not negative. But anytime you're at the store or around people, you're picking up their energy. And I always say it sticks to people like spitballs do, like when you're in school throwing spitballs, you have to clear that energy and work with your own. So if you jump straight into like a third eye meditation, you're probably going to get a really bad migraine and maybe get sick and not feel good. And then you're not going to want to do it. You got to get rid of all the other energy, cleansing baths, just trying to be one with yourself. Because once you start getting deeper, like you start meditating and really focusing on your spirituality, it's like yourself in a whole different way. And then things start happening. You start seeing things. You start feeling things.
So you're talking about cleansing yourself, opening your mind, doing some meditation. I've also heard that stop drinking fluoride or using toothpaste with fluoride.
Water, all of that. Yeah, fluoride's a really big, it calcifies the pineal gland. It really does. And it's in foods, when you go to a restaurant and eat, they're cooking with it. So just trying to be mindful of even things like that. But there's other aspects that can block it. But we kind of say, in a way, we're kind of like our own worst enemy, because we've been conditioned to think that, like, growing up, if you heard a knock on your door or something, it's all in your head. It was a movie you watched, we kind of like learn to block it out too.
Yeah. And I think honestly, like, for myself, I was taught to block it out. That, like you said, there's nothing there, or, but yeah, that's from parents, said, oh, there's nothing there. My thing was, I used to
intuition our own selves.
Yeah. I used to be scared of like the monsters at night. Well, now I know that they weren't monsters. They were just, I call them roamers. Like you were talking about, like a light bulb on your head. And I understand what it is now, but back when you're, a little kid, 5-6 years old, you don't. So, and I was always taught that, oh, there's nothing there. It's just your imagination,
Exactly.
Chris, that's a great point, because as a kid, I saw a lot of things as a kid, 5 to 7 years old for sure. And I'd always tell my parents, and they would always say I was dreaming. Well, today as an adult, I know I wasn't dreaming.
Right.
And I especially got, as you guys know, I got more intuitive with these things and more with my inner self after having my encounter in 2018. And it seemed like after that, Amber and everyone listening, I was, for whatever reason, I did not seek this. It seems like I am more susceptible to seeing different things. And for whatever reason, I had this revelation. You know what, Rob? Growing up, these things that my parents told me I was dreaming, or it's just your imagination, because as a kid, I did have a wild imagination. I'm not going to say I didn't. But now I'm thinking today that, it was something other than just a dream or something. And so that's why I'm glad I do this. I mean, I'm a novice, as I said, and I always ask this question to everybody that comes on. You talk about the afterlife, and I've gotten different opinions or answers from everybody. So when we pass on, and so lack of sounding, I don't want to sound morbid, but you're laying on the gurney, you see that bright light, or you see the darkness. Is that like just people make that up, or from your experiences in talking with the dead, what is that like? What have you been? What's the communications you've gotten back?
So, just like we're all here right now, we have our free will. When you die, it's free will too. You can choose to go into the light and heal, but even when you go there, you can still come back. You're not like trapped anywhere. But some people don't realize or don't want to accept that they've passed away. So a lot of times that's with like major tragedies, but sometimes people just don't want to leave their families and they want to linger. It's all individualized, whatever their experience is. There's times I've came in contact with the ones that have passed away, and they have no intention of leaving their family. They want to stay there. They're just waiting on them. They're good. They don't want to go anywhere else. They're just going to hang out in the living room and hang out with them at work, wherever, until it's their time. There are some that are like, hey, I don't know what happened. I was driving my car. I had too much to drink. I don't know where my family is, and I connected with a man once and that happened to him. His wife and his son was in the car. They survived, but he didn't. And this was probably back in the 70s, and he was still kind of confused about it. And I don't know if it was because he was under the influence when he passed, but sometimes they still act like that when they're dead. I've ran across that a couple of times. I don't know why. There's a lot I don't know about the spirit world. I don't think anybody will ever know everything until we get there, but it's free will. Like I said, some get confused just like we do. But
yeah,
it's your choice.
Well, it's your choice, but let me ask you this though: if it's your time though, with whatever your higher power is, not to be all religious, God. A lot of people know God, right? But if it's your choice, though, I mean, when your time is up, though, even if let's say that you see that light and you say, you know what, whomever your higher power is, and you say, hey, I want another 6 months or whatever, you can't negotiate that. If it's your time, though, it's your time, right? That's only with select individuals, I'd have to imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Car accident.
You can majority of us have already had past life. So you're going to eventually come back as either here or maybe as an ET species. You could come back as something else, maybe not on this planet. But that happens.
Yeah. I don't know.
I was just sitting here thinking about what kind of realm are we talking when a spirit gets confused? Are they just kind of like floating in between here and there, or they're just sitting like what I would call behind the veil, and just are they just like pacing? Is what I really want to know. Are they just standing there waiting for us to come, their family members or things like that? I mean, are they just thinking they're going to guide us to the right place? Is that why they're waiting around?
I think that goes back to, it's just like their individual experience, what they're going through at the time, because everybody has such a different story on why they're kind of still here or why they haven't wanted to go. Some don't know how, and it's easy because in a way. Some don't want to go, but sometimes I got to talk them into it, especially if they're grouchy. But any of us can do that. If you're around a spirit that is acting like they don't want to be here, just ask them to look up in the sky. And I always pray with them. I'm like, look up for this light. It's going to be warm. It's going to make you feel so good. Go into it. Your family's going to be there. Sometimes you got to call in their grandma to come and get them, or their family. But then you have to keep in mind, some people have passed away at the hands of their family. So you got to figure out what their story is and maybe call on someone else to help them, because they don't want to see those people. So it's all individualized.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely agree with you on all of that.
Yeah, I could just see me. Hey, Grandma, come get your kid. Come get him, because I'm done.
Going back to this thing about choice, we don't have a choice as to where we go. Let's just say heaven and hell, because that's the only thing I know. You don't have a choice to go to heaven or hell, though. If you're a bad person, you're going to hell, right? Or is that just something that we don't know?
I mean, from my experience, and this is my opinion, I've never had any spirit tell me that they've been in hell. Mm-hmm. I've heard of demons say they came from hell, but I've never had a spirit say they went to hell. That doesn't mean it can't happen. It could just be like a scare tactic that man has modernized as well. I don't know. But I know that there are several spirits that have told me they've seen Jesus, they've met him. So like I said, that's one of the things I don't know the answer to, for sure.
No, I understand. I just had to ask, because I asked everybody that. Let's get into some of your creepier investigations you did. So I know.
Which one do you want to know about?
You know what?
Creepy ones.
Well, everything's creepy to me. Ask these two. The paranormal's creepy. I can't believe I'm doing this show at nighttime.
He hates it.
I hate this. Daytime. I much would have rather you had on brunch at 1:00, not 9:29 here in the East. But anyways, anything you want to come up with, Amber? Something that's entertaining, something you think, something that we can learn from. But it has to be scary. No pressure.
Scary.
No pressure.
I would say the scariest place I have ever been to was Lake Shawnee, the old abandoned amusement park. If you want a good scare, go there. That place is absolutely insane. I don't even know if I would go back. It would take a lot to get me back there.
Wow. Where's that at?
It's in West Virginia. I'm not sure what town it's in.
Gotcha.
But it was a theme park, or an amusement park.
I think they've done different paranormal TV shows on.
Yeah, there's been a lot of shows there. Yeah, I think Unsolved Mysteries was there once, or something like that. That place.
I was going to say, I think I've seen a couple now. I can't.
Yeah, me too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have that video pinned on my YouTube channel. That was the craziest place I've ever been to. I always try to protect myself, surround myself with light when I go into a place. And I was good at first. And then I realized my flashlight sucks. It's not going to last. So I'm driving through this town. I left to go get a flashlight, and I finally found one. It was like a restaurant / gas station that I found it in. And I go back in the park, and I didn't even think about, hey, I left. Maybe you should protect yourself again. And I was live on TikTok, and this negative male was following me, and you could hear him every time I would say a word. He talks. So, and then all of a sudden I start convulsing, and he followed me home, and nobody in the live stream even told me. I'm like, you guys, if that happens, you need to tell me.
Right.
But there's portals on that property. I walked through one when the guy was showing us around, and I almost threw up. It almost knocked me to my knees. That was the first time I felt a portal that strong. When we first got there, there was a Native American male. I think he ended up telling us there was 4,000 bodies they uncovered of Native Americans on that property.
Holy cow.
Yeah, there was a lot. But I told the Native American male, he's really tall and he's really nice looking. And I'm like, you're really good looking for a dead guy. And he was not impressed at all.
Oh, wow.
He got upset. He was like, you need to go home. But there's a lot of stuff there. It's not just the Native Americans. That ground is sacred. I don't believe it really ever should have been an amusement park. It's also a lot of kids passed away at that place in the water. They drowned, and there's this. I seen this creature in the water and to me it looks black, like a panther looking thing, but it was underwater, and it was the one that was grabbing people and drowning them.
Wow.
It just likes to kill people in the water. There's just so many different aspects to the hauntings there. There's so much different things going on, and it's all in one spot.
Wow.
So I think we ended up leaving around 2 or 3 a.m. I had the place till the next morning, but I started getting visions of that I fell asleep in my Jeep, and we woke up in the water, and we couldn't get the windows down, and we died because it was just me and my mom there. And
did she freeze up? I think she froze
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a cool place, though, to go.
I
Brandy.
know. I was like,
Yes, she is.
okay.
Yeah.
You
we were
froze
just
up
saying-
a little bit there, Amber, and
yeah, sorry. Yeah,
I
it's
remember the
a
story,
cool
and we're
place.
like, wait, what happened to the story?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting place. Like I said, I don't know that I would go back. Kind of like a
Kristen
one and
Brandy
done.
are already scheduling it.
Yeah, we're game.
I've got it written down.
It's a huge place, so you have access to the whole place all evening. There's a fire pit, you can cook out, you can do whatever you want there. I mean, it's fun, but
So they actually rent this whole park out.
yes.
Holy moly!
Wow.
Wow, can you imagine?
You're getting Brandy
that?
excited there.
If you
Yeah,
can't
I know,
step
I'm
out,
like,
just don't go
oh.
near the water.
Yeah,
There's no
Don't get too
water.
close.
Yeah, no, thanks. You told me. No, I'll pass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
because I was
so-
staying on a live stream. I went live on YouTube for a little bit that night, and I'm like, I really feel like this thing probably eats, because there was geese in the water. I'm like, this thing probably takes the geese and kills them. And it wasn't like 10 minutes later, we hear this big splash, and one of the geese are like gurgling and screaming. And I'm like, oh God,
Goodness.
Oh,
this thing just
wow.
got one. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Wow.
So this is like a fun park, theme park type thing. Like the rides are still there and all that, or did they remove all
Yeah.
that?
No, the Ferris wheel and what was the swings where a little girl got backed into and killed? They're still there.
Wow.
And the ticket booth has another portal type thing in it. The old ticket booth, it'll make you sick just to walk in. I mean, I guess not everybody, but if you're sensitive to it, it will.
Right.
Some people go there and they're like, nothing happened. But I'm like, how did nothing happen to you? It was insane when I went there.
Wow, that's crazy. How many people did you go there with?
It's just me and my mom. We
Oh,
went
wow.
alone.
Yeah.
Wow. I commend you for doing that, for doing all that alone. Honestly, when we go, we always go. We're each other's backup. Because as sometimes things can go south. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
A couple things you mentioned, Amber. I always kid around about being scared, at nighttime. But I've had some things that have scared me, I must say. But even more so than my little apprehension that I have, it always makes me sad. You brought up something about the little children, and these little children they're trapped between worlds, and they haven't found a resting place yet. If you come across that, how does that make you feel? You got some kids, a little kid, let's just say, and they're in between worlds. They're not being released one way or the other. I mean, what do you do in a situation like that? Have you experienced anything like that just kind of really rocks your gut?
Yes. I went and investigated a place called the Haymond House, and it's also in West Virginia. It's up near the Bigfoot Museum. And there, before I even went there, I didn't look up anything about it. I had no idea about any of it. I had just found out about the place before I went. And I went outside to go water give all my goats and ducks some water before I left. And I saw this little boy standing there, and he was dressed in like the black shirt with like the knicker pants or whatever, like from like the late 1800s, early 1900s. And his eyes were really like, he was pale, and he just looked like he had been really sick. And he was just standing there, and I'm like, hey, who are you? And he was from that place. So then he rode up there with me. And when I get there, there's another team there that investigates there a lot. And I asked them, I'm like, who's this little boy? Because he was at my house earlier. And they were like, oh yeah, people's communicated with him before. This place doesn't want you to cross anybody over. They want the spirits to stay. They don't want anybody to help any of them. A lot of places are like that. I understand it's for profit, you know what I mean? But there are some situations I think it needs to happen. But the little boy came back home with me, so it was free game. So I helped him. I got him back with his mom.
Hop in my car, it's over.
Right. You come back to my house, I'm not taking you back over there and making you stay. You're going to go find some peace.
So are there actual things though that don't allow you to have someone cross over? I mean,
Yes.
No, I mean, I'm just trying to think in my head. I can't fathom that. Like, how does that even come about? Or are you talking with or telepathy or whatever, communicating with this other entity that's fighting with you to allow the release of this other person? I'm trying to figure out how that works. That'd be like a great movie. I mean, I know I know what you're saying to be true and factual. I'm just trying to piece together how the process behind all this.
Yeah, there's actually some locations, like some of these bigger places. If you read on their, like when you go on their website and it's like schedule an overnight tour or an overnight investigation, it will literally, some of them have a disclaimer that says you are absolutely not allowed to try to cross any spirits over. If you get caught doing this, you will be asked to leave. You know, like they're really finicky on this. The place that this little boy came from in particular, when I got there, the male who I think it was the building was named after, very kind of male chauvinist. He didn't like women. He didn't respect women. And all these other spirits that were trapped there were the women. He wouldn't he was torturing them in death. Like they were crying, that you could hear them crying, like audibly screaming. Wow. They didn't want to be there. If they wanted those women to stay, I think he needed to go. But, you know, it's not my place. It's not my call, unfortunately. You know what I mean? I can just suggest it. Some places don't like it.
Wow. Yeah, that's terrible.
And I've also brought spirits home from like the gas station and a restaurant. So they're everywhere. They're not just in haunted locations.
I do believe they're everywhere. I know.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep, they are. They are. What do you do for protection when you go to these places for yourself? Do you carry stones or anything like that?
Sometimes I forget to do a lot of stuff, but I usually just, you know, surround myself in light and ask my guides to be there for me.
Yeah,
I don't have.
We're John. It's like and see, I personally don't either. Sometimes I carry a stone, sometimes I don't. But my thing is, and Brandy can attest to this. We're all about the intention. You know? So it's all about that. And if you make your intention clear, you know, love and light and that kind of stuff, it all works.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that there are times that like I've protected myself, and if a spirit really wants to get a message through, they're going to do it, kind of no matter what we do. But if they want my attention that bad, then, you know, whether they're grouchy, a butthead, whatever, like bring it on. Let's see what you need. Right.
Yep. Good deal. Good deal. Have you ever come up to like a demonic entity?
Yes.
So what have you done?
I have a video premiering tomorrow because I went to the store. Thursday night. But anyways, I went to this antique store that I go to all the time, and the lady knows me. I'm getting ready to leave, and she's like, "I got something for you. We just got it in." And it's this 1973 Ouija board. She's like, "I don't want it here." So I got it. And you know, I have one video out with it. It took forever to even get any kind of, and that's the first time I've used one since I was like 9, and I used it for like 2 seconds. So I'm not like really sure how all this works. I haven't watched anybody else use them, but we started getting like just some odd answers, and it kept saying its name was my name and all this stuff. But the second one, we ended up contacting a demonic entity, but we got rid of it. It was not a high level, like it was a very low vibration. A lot of them aren't like what you see in movies. I've met 6 demons. I will say one of them was total hell, but the rest of them are kind of like, I've met humans meaner than them. And I know that sounds weird, but you know, they weren't like trying to, you know, like destroy my life or anything like that. They were just like, you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone.
Gotcha.
I went to Bobby Mackey's. There are definitely some demonic entities there.
It's on my bucket list. Brandy, you game?
Yes, I am.
Now that place is a place that likes very small crowds.
Yeah. Right. Look at there. Be kind.
She's
great.
So
sweet. Thank you. Be kind.
She's sweet.
Nice.
Yes, I love Be Kind. One of my favorites out there. I love everybody, but Be Kind's pretty cool. I talk with her once in a while. Yep. She's got. Well, we'll talk later. She gives me a lot of good information on the side, so thank you for that. Be Kind.
I know, and she's so very uplifting and just upbeat and always compassionate about everything. And I just love her. Anyway. Anyway.
I had a question too. Now that Be Kind just kind of threw me for a second, but that's okay. Krista and Brandy, I know where Branda and Christy stand when it comes to Ouija boards. And I'm not going to give away where they stand. But what about you? Have you used them? Do you think it doesn't matter? It's just a piece of board from Milton Bradley? Or do you think that it could be dangerous? And it looks like you're frozen.
Okay. I'm back. Can y'all hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
There she is.
We got to do something about those people down there in West Virginia.
You got to pump the sunshine in here. There ain't no way we getting some high-speed internet.
Well, West Virginia, on a side note, really, I have heard West Virginia is really creepy, though. For not only just the paranormal, but cryptids.
I've got a Bigfoot in my woods. I've got a dog man that it's like the next county over that I've talked to. He doesn't like to talk to me though, but he's kind of grouchy. But
well, maybe in the second half we'll get into a little cryptid activity with the paranormal, because I know that in your bio or in your little what you say on YouTube is like you're into that as well, and you kind of think they all blend together. But my question, I don't know if you heard it, I know where Krista and Brandy stand. Sorry, gals. With the Ouija board. Now, what's your thoughts? Is that evil? Is it just your intentions? I learned intentions. They pounded through my head. Your intent. I get it, girls. But I always got to ask, what do you think about the Ouija board?
My opinion is that it's no different than using a K2 meter, dowsing rods, pendulum. It's all a device to connect with the spiritual realm.
And again, I don't know what those are, but
you can't control what comes through on the Necrophonic app or a spirit box. You're not going to control it.
Yeah, okay.
It's the same difference. Movies give things a bad name. You can't go by what Hollyweird says. You can't do it. I was like so convinced that like I wasn't gonna like there was nothing like negative with that one that I had. I knew this lady asked me to get it for a reason. It's just, but it wasn't even like super scary. I was kind of talking crap to it. I was kind of and laughing. Sometimes I laugh when I get nervous though, but I was kind of laughing. I'm like, really? Like, even my spirit guide was like, you don't even have to make it leave. It's not going to do anything. Like, so, and it even spelled out a name that I had no idea about till I got home and I started searching it, and it was the name of a demon. So that was interesting.
So you think we can conjure up demons?
I mean, you can, I mean, if you talk about one or ask one to show up, it's going to happen. I mean, you can make anything show up, you can connect with whatever you want.
Yeah, you can manifest anything.
I think, like you two know, I can manifest things. And like I said, I stopped watching demonic, not to sound like a weirdo, but I guess we're all kind of weird if you're in chat, if you're on this panel, but I like to watch demonic movies, not because I'm into demons. I believe in God, that's the way I roll. But it seemed like ever since I started to get more in tune to this stuff, I cannot watch those shows no more because I've had like the weirdest things happen to me. And when I quit doing it, the weird stuff stopped happening. Like really quickly, Amber, and I hate boring people with the story. I was sitting in front of my TV watching some television. I know I'm awake. I'm watching some show that had to deal with the occult or something. And down my hallway comes a mist. I don't know what this mist is. It's floating up off the ground. And I thought it for a minute was smoke. So I went to get up to check because where I'm at, my furnace is back 30, 40 feet around this hallway. So I try to get up, but damn sure it starts circling. It gets to my lounge chair and it's circling me. I can't move. I know I'm awake. And all I can do is move my eyeballs at this thing. And I'm watching TV. I know I'm awake. I even could kind of like pinch myself and feel it. This happened several times, and I talk. Long story short, this is more about you than me. But again, you're into this. So a guy said, "Hey, do all this, cleanse your house," which I did not. I just whatever, whatever, yeah. But I did the next time this happened. I just started praying to God, right, and then it went away immediately. Then the next day, I did do all that, lit the incense or whatever it was, and I haven't had the problem since. So I thought I manifested that just through electronics via the TV, and I didn't think that could be possible.
Energy is energy. I've connected with people who have passed away for loved ones that live in the UK or Japan. Energy is energy, but it also could have been maybe taking advantage of you because it knew you were watching something scary, and it was like, "Hey, I'm going to scare him at this time."
Yeah.
And you know, medically speaking, they would say, "Oh, that's sleep paralysis." I've had it happen to me once. It is not sleep paralysis. I think that's just a term they give when they don't know the answer to it, because it's definitely something spiritual.
That's a good answer there. But
Yep.
they don't know what it is, do they?
No, they'll tell you, "Oh, take some melatonin, take this, do that."
Brandy and Chris,
when you're wide awake and you cannot move, that's scary.
Brandy and Christy concur with your thought. I like what she just said there. The doctors just tell us that just not because they don't know what it is. I think I agree with that.
I do too.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. They try to come up with some kind of explanation for, anything. They're saying it's this or it's that. But you could go to another doctor and they'll tell you it's something else. Nobody really knows.
Yep. True story.
Yeah.
I definitely believe that. Same thing with like, somebody who is actually possessed, by a demonic entity. A lot of times they say that's, they're manic depressant or something like that. And granted, they might be, but that's not always the case,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially when you're talking about in the beginning when it's oppression, and then they just start acting out of sorts,
Right.
and doing things they wouldn't normally do, and they try to blame it on depression or anything like that, and it could be in fact oppression.
Anything to push pharmaceuticals. I mean, in a perfect world, to keep I think to keep the demonic away, we have to keep our vibrations high, right? We can't be like speaking negative stuff. You don't argue with people over silly things. Even if you don't like somebody, just don't interact with them. Get the negative away from your life. Even if it's family, if it's friends, loved ones, whoever, if somebody does not fit like what you're doing right now and your energy, don't keep that stuff in your life that brings you down. So I think a lot of times when you look at demonic cases, possessions, these people are in a bad state of mind. Always keep your energy and your vibrations really high, and keep that light in you. But a lot of times, like you said, if somebody is like has bipolar or multiple personality disorder, they're not in a good state at that moment, and that's the ones they kind of cling to.
Absolutely. Yep.
So do you think that someone with a mental illness is more apt to possibly see or hear or speak to any type of spirit more so than someone who doesn't have the mental illness, only because they're more open to it, should I say? They don't know not to, they don't know how to shut it off.
See, I think that also will go back to like just been individualized, because some medications will absolutely block abilities and block your senses.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, it
So
will.
it just depends.
Yeah.
You brought up a great point. I'm glad, I started learning about this stuff, with Jessica Jones when she joined our team and so on. I've been friends with her, and then Krista and Brandy and Aaron joined. So I'm learning quite a bit. In fact, I was always wondering, I got my best friend since 7th grade. He drives a truck, and he calls me every day about 3:30. And every day at 3:30, all he does is bitch about the idiots on the road. He doesn't call up to say, "What are you doing this weekend?" He doesn't call up to say, "How you doing? How's the show going? How's your ma, your dad, your brother?" Doesn't want to talk guy stuff. Don't even want to talk sports. All he wants to do is bitch, 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 and bitch. And he's been doing this for many years. So last week I started calling him an energy vampire. And I'll tell you why. Because every time this guy calls me, I used to listen to him for 10, 12, 15 minutes like this. I was being so brought down that when I hung up the phone with this guy, it feels like I drank 15 beers the night before and had
Yeah.
2 hours sleep because I was so
Right.
drained.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I learned, we have to learn how to control this energy and keep that on the high
Mhm.
frequency. So if you're continually talking with people that are negative, number one, it's going to bring you down. And number two, maybe these nefarious entities are more apt to invade your space. Does that
Yeah.
sound right?
Absolutely.
I believe firmly, and me myself personally, you know, sometimes you have to cut cords with people, and honest to God, I've had to do that with some family, just because
Yeah.
of what you said. They're negative. They bring you
Keep
down.
your distance.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
as Amber said, you know, you got to keep your vibration high, and she's right on that. And you know, sometimes you have to cut cords with people, be it forever or
Even
just.
if it's just that one
Oh, we lost.
about stuff. I mean, you have to move beyond that at some point and just say, you know, if you need me, I'll be there, or just tell them you're busy. We have to learn to say no.
Well, I will tell you this, Amber. I
Yes.
know he's my best friend from 7th grade. I am the godfather to all 3 of his kids. His wife loves me. I put his pool up. I mean, I've done everything for this guy. But the last 5 years, I could tell you, I even talked to his wife. He goes, man, Joe, I'm going to call him Joe. I hope he's not even watching. But then again, Joe, I hope you are watching, because his wife says it brings down the whole family. And it's like, and you know, you guys, I swear, I thought it was just me, but I hate to say this, every time I talk to this guy, I'm in a bad mood. Amber, like you just said, when he calls me on the weekend, I lie. If I don't want to hang out, I'm going to my brother's house. Oh, I got a show. Oh, I feel like I might be going to the hospital. I'm getting sick. I mean, I made that up. I never said something stupid like that, of course, but I'm making up lies. But at the same time, I don't like to lie.
Mhm.
And that's negative energy that I'm bringing upon myself, but it's trying to counteract a negative person. So I'm kind of in a rock and a hard place with this dude, and he'll always be my friend. I love him to death. And I have been trying to counsel him on, you got some negative vibes, dude, and you got to stop. I mean, if it's when his family comes forward and tells me there's something going on, and you know what, the last 5-6 years since he got like this, I will tell you guys this: he's had nothing but bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
Wife lost her job. 2 grown men, 25 years old, can't get jobs. Daughter, 12 years old. Thank God she's a sparkle. But the rest, negativity. The pool that we put up fell down, but luckily we caught it. I mean, just negative. So yeah, I'm so glad you joined. I like talking about these subjects because it's for everyday life. Everybody listening, this is everyday life, right?
Yeah.
You know, that comes up quite often too when I'm doing readings for people, because, you know, especially if this person is like a people pleaser, and it's okay to be like that, but it's not okay when it comes at your own expense. You're putting yourself last. And that's what I tell people. Take time for yourself. Tell them no. Stay home. Go do it. Take a walk. Do something you love. Because if you're spending all your energy on everyone else, what are you doing for yourself? You're going to wear yourself out, and you're going to be like, what did I do to deserve this? You're going to feel like crap. You have to take care of yourself. And it doesn't matter if it's family or not. Like, if you have to just, you can cut ties and not even like let them really know. You know what I mean? You can just be like, I'm busy. Or if they text you, say, hey, I'm busy right now, I'll call you later. And you just forgot, you know, you don't have to do it in a negative way.
And maybe even, you know, BMR, maybe try talking to him about it a little bit.
Well, you know, Chris, I trust me. I've been like his therapist. He's starting to come around a little bit. He's the same guy that did not believe I saw Bigfoot, yet I'm supposed to believe he saw a ghost. So that's how he is. He's kind of a dick.
Sounds like it.
Coming up on it. I missed the 5-minute break. We got to take a 5-minute break.
I was trying to get in there, but I didn't want to be rude, and I was like, do I say two
you 3 lovely gals could never be rude, but we're going to take a 5-minute break. Amber's ParaWorld, for everybody listening, subscribe to her channel. Subscribe to the Blondes and the Booze podcast. Of course, Bigfoot Rob and Tex and all of our other great crew members. Be back in 5.
The NFP.
4 minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. Three minutes. We're almost there. Two-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. One minute. 1 minute.
Welcome back to Beyond BMR. We have a great show tonight with Amber from Amber's ParaWorld. Don't forget to subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube, Texas Front Porch on YouTube, the Blondes and Booze podcast on YouTube, Ciru Papers with Jason McLean and Bob Van Buren Variety. And don't forget the Super Chat is open. The Super Thanks is also open long after the show is over. You can always give a donation if you care to do so. I'm going to bring my co-hosts and Amber back up. I switched it up like last week. I've got Brandy back. Krista, they switched places. Last time I said something not too appropriate.
I do remember that.
Yes,
you always got something to say.
I do. Brandy, I do. It just pops in my head. I don't know why. It just does. So Amber, we're talking about, this is a great show. We're talking about the paranormal. We're talking about energy. You know, I just had that rant. I'm sorry, you know, you guys, I'm sorry about ranting about my friend, but you know, it all comes full circle for me because until I started really studying this stuff and talking to the booze and a couple of my other friends, it does make sense. Negative energy spurs on negative karma. It spurs on things that don't go right for you in life. And even these people, I tell my buddy, and we'll get off my buddy in a minute. I just try to preach what you guys tell me. You know, just be positive. Don't call me 5 days a week and bitch. Please just don't, because I'm sick and tired. I'm going to hang up on you next time. And I've told him this. But enough of that. But it's a good lesson learned. I think it's a life lesson for everybody here.
I'm a huge believer in positivity breeds positivity and negativity breeds negativity, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So Amber, you also you're into the cryptids a little bit, right? And we got talk a little cryptids. You know, everybody in chat loves cryptid talk, and we all do here. And the cool thing about it, I think it all blends together. I personally believe that cryptids are flesh and blood with, I think there's paranormal elements to them. You know, 2018, I would have said it was some creature, but then again, I thought it was a demon. Until this day, I'm kind of, you know, I flip flop on what I saw. In your experiences, what's your thoughts? Do you think that Bigfoot or Dogman are paranormal? You think they're flesh and blood, or are you like me and a lot of other people that think it's a combination?
I definitely think they can show themselves as, you know, right in front of you, but there's also that element to them where you can speak to them like I do dead people.
I still love that. I speak to dead people, and that's not even taking the phrase from the movie.
I watched a video once, and this video, this guy was explaining about molecules and atoms and how we're all made of these atoms, but they only come together when you look at it. So when you're not looking at something, it's just energy. So if I'm looking at you, I can see your face, but when I don't look at you, you're really just this energy that's just kind of everywhere. But we only get to see like 2% of reality. So the other 98% is all this other stuff that we can't see, you know, the other realms, the spiritual part of it. So if we could see that, we would see all of it. You know, it's different. It's hard to explain, but it's just different. There's so many things other than just, you know, Dogman, Bigfoot. I've seen little gnome looking things with pointy ears and sharp teeth that are naked, that run down hills and just try to scare you. There's so many things. I've got something in my woods that it climbs upside, like it climbs down the trees. I've always seen it going down, and it's got horns and it's white. It kind of looks like a dog, but it crawls. I don't know what it is.
You know,
go ahead.
That brings up a question that I have for Amber, and I was not going to bring it up, but now I just remembered. You claim, Amber, from Amber's ParaWorld on YouTube, to have seen a naked gargoyle.
Yeah, it's more like an elf-looking thing, but yeah, I've seen the gargoyle things. I don't know if that's what they call themselves because they didn't really tell me. Most of them won't talk to me. You know, some of them are just kind of like, you know, trying to scare me, and they want to run away. They're like, "Oh, you weren't supposed to see me." I have actual video from my security camera in my front yard of fairies jumping on my Jeep about that big, and you can see them, like the legs, the arms, and they're just jumping all over it. I have that on my TikTok channel, but like, there's just so much out here. There's other cryptids that don't even have names that we don't even know about yet.
Yes, for sure.
Do you see them with your mind's eye or with your physical eyes?
Both. I've seen them, like even with like dead people. Sometimes I just get images of them, but there's times like I was at a restaurant once. We were getting ready to eat lunch, and I turn around and there's this man, and I screamed so loud everybody looked at me. Everybody was like, "What is she screaming about?" But there was this guy, and he was just standing there, and he ended up coming home. I'm like, just get in the car, like, you know. I'm going to eat first. But sometimes I see them just full on.
Sure.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't. It just depends. I think it has to do with how they want to show themselves as well. You know, some people only see spirits as like shadow people or a mist and then I could see them and what they're wearing. So it just depends on, I think, everybody, like that's why I said everybody's abilities are different. They see people in different ways or things in different ways.
Yep. Good deal. Good deal. I did a case, I don't know, it's been years ago, but it was a horse farm that, she was having a lot of bad issues. And, we went there and I seen something similar to what you were talking about, a gargoyle. I call it a troll is what it looked like to me. That was in her barn. And I studied demonology under Jeremy Leonard. And I actually went to him about it. He's like, that's an elemental. And that was my first experience, with an elemental. So yeah.
Now elemental that's not the same as the jinn, right? Or are they kind of the same?
A jinn is it's
evil.
A jinn is a demonic entity, but it's what they call them in a different country.
Elementals are doing work. Like they're helping this earth. They're actually.
So they're positive.
Right. But some of them are grouchy, just like the fae. Some can be grouchy.
This particular case we did it was they were upset. The ladies, she run a horse farm and she boarded horses and stuff there. And she lost a bunch of horses in a small, short time. Same thing with the dogs. She was being affected. Well, come to find out, we ended up just planting some apple trees for them and everything's been fine since. But she can't, and I told her, I said, don't eat any apples off the apple tree. That's theirs, So it's just, it's all about the land and all that good stuff.
So yeah, you'll have to forgive me because I know a little bit about the elementals and the fae. Because again, I'm just learning this stuff. So they are two different things. But I heard though that the fae can be nefarious, right? Now Amber, you say elementals, they help the earth and they're positive. I heard the fae can go flip flop.
I was always nervous to connect with fae because I've heard those stories. I've heard horror stories of like you'll be in debt to them, your ancestor, everybody will be in debt to them. If you take something that's theirs or gift them and whatever. But I've not had that experience. But I think that also goes back to keeping your energy and your vibrations really high and not allowing that to happen. I mean, could it happen? Yeah. But who knows what kind of state of like mental state or physical state someone's in when this happens. I think all of that needs to be explored before you could say that something is just pure negative or always good. It goes back to your own self and what you're doing with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I feel no questions are dumb, so I'm going to present a dumb question. When you talk about the jinn, it's not like the genie trapped in a bottle, is it? Because I heard stories about the jinn, they have to be released from somewhere, that they're held captive, actually, a la a genie bottle, or it could be any container. Is that true, or is that myth, legend, or you just don't know?
I've not heard that. I haven't really studied much on them, but I know spirit can be in so many places at one time, so I can't imagine anything actually been trapped. Like I know they can use things as vessels, like haunted dolls or haunted objects. They have an energy attachment that can be their vessel. I have one here, but she doesn't stay inside the doll. She can go wherever she wants. So I would imagine it's like that unless there's some kind of like something from way back when that like was put on them. I don't know. It's possible. I don't know.
Yeah, I just read that somewhere and I said, hey, why not ask? Because I don't know. I tended not to believe it because it reminds me of fairy tale, something trapped in a bottle. You rub the bottle and all of a sudden a genie appears.
That would be cool though, right? I would totally rub the bottle if I had one.
Yeah.
And video it.
Yeah, I'm not. Yes. I had something I was going to say, but I'm not.
Surprise.
You caught yourself this time.
Yeah, I did. I did. Hey, but that's what we do. We kick back, we relax, and
have a good time.
In your investigations out in the field, Amber, have you come across? You might have said this earlier. I might have missed it. I'm sorry, but have you seen an actual Bigfoot or a cryptid in the woods?
Yes. I do have a family that live of Bigfoot that live where I live. I'm still working on gaining his trust. I want to be his friend. He knows that.
Okay,
I
I'll
haven't.
stop you right there. Is it
Okay.
flesh and blood or both, or you don't know?
I can mind speak with him, if that's what you want to call it, telepathy. I can talk to him just like I do dead people. So,
Okay, well, I'm going to go with that.
So
I'm
that-
glad Tex isn't here, but go forward.
um, and I've also we got chased out of a cemetery once from a dog man, or it could have been a hell. I'm not really sure what that was. So and then like I said, I've got the other stuff that kind of roam.
Mhm. You got a lot going on, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind
They all kind of come to me.
Amber, you kind of cut out just a little bit, so forgive me if I sound redundant here, but when you had your mind speaker or your telepathy, I can't say that word. So you had it just popped in your mind, and you knew that it was something. You knew that it was this being, correct? I mean, you knew what you were talking to, and it looks like she froze up.
Yep.
Okay. Can y'all hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
No, yes.
Okay. Yes and no, because I actually have audio of his voice.
Ooh.
I'm not going to share it probably anytime soon. He doesn't want me to, but he doesn't talk like we do. He doesn't talk in just complete sentences. It's very different. But like I said, I'm trying to gain his trust. I want to be his friend. That's more important to me, because I believe they're here to help this earth too, just like the aliens, the UFOs, the elementals. They're all here because Mother Earth is healing. Mother Earth is fed up. It takes all of us coming together as light workers and working with all of the elementals, all of the cryptids, and trying to find this unity so that we can have a better world. That's my thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So when you said you have a recording of his voice, does it sound more like a human, or is it just like different types of sounds, but you can hear it in your head as English?
He said words. It just wasn't like in sentences. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
a very deep voice. Just the tone was way different. But I was just sitting here like, hey, I want to talk to you, and I had my phone on record, and I'm like, talk to me. Let's do this. I haven't had time to do that again. I need to do that, but like I've been so busy, and then goats and chickens and a kid and a homeschool. So I get really busy sometimes, and I just don't think about it. Plus it's really cold outside right now. I'd like to go up in the woods and do this. We have a lot of coyotes, so that kind of makes me nervous. But yeah, I mean, he's cool being up there.
Yeah.
I hope he stays. Hopefully, if I ever move, he'll go with me. I don't know if they do that.
I've heard of stories where, like, they followed people, home and stuff. So who knows? If you move, he may go with you.
I tried going to my woods not too long ago to film again, and I was hoping to connect with like him or some of the elementals, but usually it's like a bunch of dead people just go up there and then
Sure.
It's just a bunch of disembodied voices of people like, hey, can you help me?
You're like, quiet down. I
Right.
don't want to talk to you right now. I've got
Right,
something
there's
else.
just so many of them that it's hard for me to do that here.
I have a question, chat, that I want you guys, anybody can answer for Be Kind. She asks, can someone explain elementals to me? I'm not clear what you are referring to. Please and thank you. And thank you for that, Be Kind. Once again, thanks for the super chat. Love you. If anybody wants to take that on, what is an elemental? Again, you might have said it earlier, but for Be Kind, just to be a little more specific, I guess.
I can answer, but I'll let
You
Amber
can go ahead
answer.
if you want. That's
Yeah,
fine.
I'll let Amber answer. She's the guest tonight.
So we have like there's air elementals that help with, like, they can affect the wind and the parts of the, like, the earth that, like, when seeds get blown away, but there's air elementals, there's water elementals, there's earth elementals. There's one, and they can show themselves in different ways, but they're all working to, like, the earth elementals are working to help the ground, help just help the earth. They're all working together. But they are in a way, like they're a spirit. I mean, I've spoken to them, so it's like you can actually talk to a tree. I know it sounds crazy, but I've heard the wind speak to me. But they're working, and they're actually like their own being. Everything is energy. We're energy. Your energy. Bigfoot's energy. We all have energy running through us, just like the trees do, just like the grass does, the crickets, the spiders. Everything is energy. So we're all connected in that way. But they're just these beings that are working to help the earth heal and be better. And if you want to add to it or anything else.
No, I mean, you answered great.
You said it. I was just going to say the elementals have their hands full right now. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
So they're more their mother nature. There's everything that surrounds us, really. Kind of. And the natural elements.
Yeah. Yep.
Kind of.
And like I said, that one case I did, it was, their land had been disrupted. I mean, it was cleared, and, horse fencing was put up, and they weren't happy with that, So that client, we had to make it right with them.
And just like you said, the plant the trees. Sometimes that's all they want is us to use the land in a positive way, and not destroy everything. Yep. Kind of come to terms with them and say, hey, I'll do this if you let me do this, and I'll let you do that. Right. We can work together.
Yep.
It's funny. I talking about the elementals, and I just seen Be Kind just made another comment, but I never even thought about this. This is why I just love doing these shows and have different topics to discuss, because quite frankly, the last 7 or 8 years I've been growing a garden, and yes, I must say I'm not going to turn in my man card, but I do plant flowers and stuff around where I live, right? I'm into that. I like to look cool, look good. And I've noticed, and and again, I have caught myself in the morning going out with a cup of coffee and talking to my plants and flowers. Especially, I get this feeling in my brain that says, Rob, they're needing something because they're not growing. They're not looking full like I want to look. And I'm not making this up. The garden's looking crappy. The flowers are drooping. There ain't no color. I'm pissed off because I just spent, $100 on all this shit. I start talking to them. And you know what? Sure enough, within a couple days, and I do the same watering process. I add all the nutrients. And, it seems when you give them just a little TLC, I'm not kidding you guys, and I recommend this to anybody in gardening, they come back more vibrant and full of luster. And I believe there's something to all this. I really do.
Well, studies have proven that. They've done studies of people who talk to their plants as they're caring for them, and they thrive. They thrive better than ones that weren't talked to. So there's something to it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wholeheartedly agree. Yep.
So, Amber, when Bigfoot disappears, or dog, or any cryptid, so do you think then it's just a transformation of energy that allows them to go from place to place? I mean, your thoughts, your theory on that?
Yes, but I also believe they can choose to show themselves to who they want when they want. Like if we could be in all four of us somewhere, and you could see one, I could see something else, and maybe somebody else doesn't see anything. Just like spirit does. They choose that. They're like in that. I think they're just on such a higher level than we'll ever understand. They're so much smarter and know so much more than what our human brains could ever just comprehend. Just like the spiritual realm, there's so much to it that, when we get to, when we cross over, we're going to be like, holy crap, this is pretty cool. We're going to understand at that point. But then when we reincarnate, we're going to start all over again and have to go through past life regression to try to figure out what we already knew from this life.
Right.
True. But I know that the three ladies here can attest to this. Like you can have a spirit standing there right next to you and speak to you and only you. And you heard it loud and not with your mind, but with your ears. You heard it, but nobody else heard it. That's happened to me so many times. I'm like, did you hear that? They're like, no. And I'm like, I know I caught it on my recorder and I did. But this person was standing right next to me. And I'm like, well, how come you didn't hear that when I heard it?
Yeah.
But it's on the recorder. I heard it. and the person standing right next to me didn't hear it. And then there's times where, you know, we would all hear something and the recorder didn't catch it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just strange on how that works.
It truly is. It really is.
You're not guaranteed to catch evidence. I mean, you really can't.
I think that does make sense. And, you know, the more we're talking about the subject and energy and your thoughts and negative versus positive, I think if there's a group of 4 of us, I really can't say us 4 because we're all positive, but let's say there was 2 negative people and 2 positive people, and you're out. It doesn't matter what you're researching, the paranormal or cryptid. I think that the person with the open mind is going to hear it versus, you know, negative Nelly.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
And, you know,
and it's just like with equipment too. Like I was so excited to get my first K2 meter, and I just got it like a year ago, the Christmas before this past, because I don't use equipment when I go. I use my rods or a pendulum or just go talk to them. But I got it and I put it at this place that I knew there's this old lady spirit there. She lived in this house, and she's like, I'm not going to touch it. Standing right beside of it, would not touch it. And I'm like, come on. If they don't, you can have all the equipment you want. If they don't want to interact with it, they're not going to. I mean, It's the same with speaking to you. If they want to talk to you, they're going to. If they don't, they're not going to.
Yeah. And I think too, with cryptids like Bigfoot, if he wants you to see him, he'll show himself. And I think the same is with the paranormal. And really, and I know everybody has the equipment in like ghost hunting and the paranormal, but really, I mean, if you're as open-minded as you are and have all this positive energy, you really don't need all that much equipment, do you? Because I see all these shows, and again, I hate to always, especially when the booze are on, I hate to talk about TV shows. They always have like $1 million of equipment, it seems, but you really don't need all that, do you? I mean, really?
No.
You don't. Now, I have a bunch of equipment, and I'm not going to lie. I always want the new gadget. I want to see what works, what doesn't work. But I'm telling you, I have a little backpack that I carry, and it goes across my chest. And if it doesn't fit in there, it doesn't go. The only reason why I use different equipment is because, say, a particular spirit doesn't want to play with that particular one, so I'll put something else out there that might interest them. But most of my equipment is just to gauge like the humidity and the pressure in the room, and temperature changes and things like that. Just if the spirit is in the room. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for, go touch that. If you can light it up, great. That's nice. But I want to know what happens when a spirit comes into the room. I want to know how it affects the space, the air, how everything changes when it comes. Because if you're standing there and a spirit's near me, say, I will get a chill, and I mean it will start from the top of my head and go all the way to my feet. But I can't document that. So I use the equipment to document what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what I'm using the equipment for.
I guess you'd have to have a thermometer strapped around your wrist, eh?
I do carry different equipment that monitors temperature, humidity, pressure, all of that stuff within a room. Yeah.
Yeah. But see, I'm just the opposite of Brandy, and she can attest. I don't use equipment myself every now and then, but for the most part, I really don't.
Right.
Just my own natural senses.
Yeah. See, she's the one that feels, and I'm the one that does the scientific side of it. So, I mean, it works great. And then we were talking about negative people. I can't investigate with negative people because I get nothing, just nothing. It will be a silent night. I can't tell you how many times that I've went into a place where people with really hard skeptics that were not only skeptics, but they were really super negative about all of it, making fun of it and blah, blah, blah. And nothing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or people that are like, boo, or making noises.
Yeah. It's
like,
kind of like
quiet for an hour.
Yeah.
It's just
come get me. Yeah.
It's just kind of like, of course we're not going to get anything. Who wants to talk to somebody like you? I wouldn't want to talk to you.
Or it could
why
just
would
be
they
the
want to talk
opposite.
to you?
Because I'll tell you what, I got a story about that. I was investigating. It was a public overnight event at the Pythian Castle, and a lady was real excited to be there, and she drug her husband in. he wanted no part of it. He's like, you all are full of S, and and he was just crabby. I mean, there's no way around it. And there's a tower up at the Pythian Castle, and he was up there, and they happened to be in my group, and he got poked. You want to talk about a grown man go running down some steps, freaking out, and he was ready to go. He told his wife, "Let's go," and she's like, "I told you this is real."
Yeah, and conversely, then if a negative person, like Brandy said, you don't want nothing to do with them. You don't want them on your investigation. And what about the person that's like super positive, but they're like over cheery, over bubbly, and they're just so enthusiastic that you got to kind of tell them to pull the reins back? That probably doesn't help either.
Then you put that person in a room for a 30-minute alone challenge by themselves and let them cool off.
There you go.
Absolutely, Amber. Yes. Yes.
So put them in a haunted house in a dark closet and have them spin around saying,
there you go.
Remember that Mary tale? Look at a mirror.
Just have them sit there. Have them sit there for 30 minutes.
No, you guys, I could not do that. I would not do that, and I'm not. Because I would probably, unless you two were standing outside the door, maybe. But I probably wouldn't be able to knock on the door to say, "Get me the hell out of here."
Honestly, if you just keep in mind, if someone's good in life, they're good in death. And I like to think most people are good,
Right.
So if you look at it that way, you'll overcome your fears.
Yeah.
I think, though, that, again, I'm not a religious guy. I believe in God. Therefore, I believe in a God. I'm more spiritual than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But you think, though, since if a person believes in God, thus they have to believe in the devil. Not that you believe in his work, but
right,
they go hand in hand. So the devil entering your life is just as easy as God entering your life without you even knowing it. Was that a fair assessment?
I would say so.
I would say so, because you have to welcome God into your life, and I suppose you'd have to welcome the devil into your life, for that purpose, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But the devil's pounding on that door every day, even if you don't welcome him, right?
Yeah, he's got a few tricks up his sleeve. Temptation is one of the biggest ones. He's trying to say, "Hey, I got this. Come on over to the dark side. Come on over here. Come on over here." Or God is showing you daily that he's here. Just the birds, the trees, the grass, everything. And the devil has to work a little harder, because he doesn't have that to show you. He's got to show you all the bad stuff.
Right.
He's saying, "Hey, I'll give you this if you come over here."
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's just my opinion, but yeah.
I respect all opinions. I hear you there. Amber, have you ever try to cross over somebody where you just felt they were evil and you're like, you know what? I don't think I can help this person, because you just got that bad vibe, that bad energy?
I have crossed over just angry, human spirits. But if you're looking at it as a soul level, no soul, even like the ones in this world that do horrible things that we all wish would just rot in hell, right, their soul is just as deserving as you or mine, when we get to the other side, to heal and learn those life lessons. As bad as that sounds, everybody is here to learn lessons. So everything that we go through, every person in our lives, everything that we do is all for a higher purpose. We may not understand it now. Sometimes we do. We figure out that lesson with people or things we've gone through, but sometimes we don't figure that out till we're gone.
Right.
It kind of makes sense. And again, not to have any controversy, but not you say that, let's say that you're a mass murderer, which I think most people give them life in prison or whatever. But you kind of make sense in a way that when you die and that soul leaves your body, is it really the physical person that committed those heinous crimes, and your soul is just kind of, when it leaves you, I'm not going to say that it's cleansed, but maybe it has to go somewhere else to do penance or something.
I think there's definitely different levels of what we learn and where we our vibration, where we go. But like I said, that's one thing I probably won't know till I get to the other side. You know, it's hard to get a straight answer out of spirit because they're going to tell you what they know, not, you know, they're not going to tell you everything because they don't know it all, you know, as far as like that goes. But, you know, every soul, our souls agree to be here and to do what we're doing right now. So as weird as it sounds, their soul probably signed up to be that. And that sounds crazy, but.
Well, I don't think it's weird or crazy, but I do have a question here. How do you know, though, that you're not being tricked by somebody they're trying to, maybe they have nefarious intentions, but they're coming off like, hey, you know, everything's cool, but they're really, they're evil and they have evil intentions. How can you discern that from, like, if you were to, you know, cross me over tomorrow? Knock on wood, it doesn't happen, by the way.
I mean, some will just kind of like, yeah, I want to go. Some will tell me what they did, or I'll see what happened, but some don't. So I guess it's just whatever they want to tell you or show you.
Yeah, but can you yourself, can you like point it out? Hey, this is something that's trying to screw with me. Can you get that feeling?
Sometimes, there was one demonic thing that I kind of gave the benefit of the doubt to earlier, about a year ago. And I watched this guy shape shift into this giant, like, you know, 20-foot long black snake. And he was like, and I'm like, oh, wow, maybe human spirits can shape shift when they're on the other side. And then he started, you know, it didn't take long to figure it out, you know, but at first I was kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt. And I've done that quite a few times, you know, because like you said earlier, I want to think that they're all capable of like just being good.
Yep. And some I've come across too, you know, I call them tricksters, you know, they're not what they seem to be, you know, and the demonic, you know, they may come to you as a child or an elderly person because, you know, we trust them and, you know, so I've come across that. And actually Brandy and
I've never had that happen. I've never had a demonic entity pretend to be something else, but I know other people have had that experience. I've never experienced that.
Brandy and I have a friend, he doesn't like us to use his name. So he said, whenever we talk about him, call him Anthony Bublé. So we're going to call him Anthony Bublé tonight, but he lived in a house that was demonic and he seen it, what it truly was. However, his wife seen it as a little girl and she embraced it, you know, so they were seeing the same entity two different ways, you know, which is.
Yeah. So in she was actually feeding it with her energy and gifting. And so she was giving this demonic entity power to where, you know, by the time anybody realized exactly what it was already too late at that point.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So.
It's definitely interesting what spirit's capable of doing.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely. Just when you think you've heard it all, right?
Right.
Something new happens.
Here comes the next story.
Yep. Very
yes.
true. Yep. So.
We're getting up on.
I saw a dragon recently, and there was not many people I could tell that.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I was about to ask you because there's two things that I wrote down, and one was the naked gargoyle, which we covered that.
Yeah.
And you made mention because I think I saw this on TikTok because you know I was checking you out before the show. You're talking about some zombie stuff and some dragon stuff.
Yeah,
that sounded pretty cool.
It was weird. Like the zombies I saw, I was at a cemetery filming. I was doing a ritual to summon Slender Man or something like that. Just to see if it worked, you know. You gotta test it out, right? I mean, at one point do we test the limits? But I'm just like filming around these woods, and this cemetery is it's dark. My grandparents are buried there, so I go there a lot, but I don't know. It's just dark. Okay. This place it's like that at nighttime. It is just, there's crazy spirits there. But I was just kind of filming and I look over in the woods and there's this group of dead people coming at me and they were literally like Walking Dead zombies and like, you know, just so, I've never seen that before. So I don't know what was up with that. I'm like, y'all go back up in there. I don't want nothing to do with this. But I started laughing when I was telling talking about it, I'm like, oh my God, there's zombies. Yeah, I've seen zombies. I've seen a dragon that rode on my top of my hood of my Jeep after I left a location where I was trying to connect with a dog man or werewolf. I don't know what he was. I know what he looked like, but I don't know what he is really. He was weird looking, but a dragon just laid on top of my Jeep and like it was just kind of keeping me safe. It was really cool.
So it must have been a baby.
Who could I tell that to? Like, I only have certain friends, like, and they're from YouTube. I can't just you can't just call your cousin and be like, dude, a dragon's on my car. Like, they're gonna be like, you need to be committed. That's why I love
my
the YouTube
family.
If
you're in my family, I'd be calling my mom. Mom, there's a dragon on my Jeep.
I'll tell my mom and my daughter, stuff, but
yeah, I'd be like, what? Where are you? I'm coming. I gotta check it out.
And I can't tell you how many times I've done that to my mom. Hey, Mom. My mom lives with me, Amber, by the way. Anyway, I'd be like, Mom, come here. Come here. And she's like, what? And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, it's always nice to have people with the same mindset or have had similar things happen, experiences, because it is tough out there to talk to anybody about these things because automatically thinking, oh, she's lost it. She's a little crazy. I mean, yeah, we talk to dead people. I mean, my goodness. I mean, what are you going to do?
Right.
I at work, there's a few people at work and there's like 180 something people where I work in my building. Anyway, very few know that I do these podcasts all the time and what I talk about and where I travel to. But, really, it's just kind of like, well, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because they're going to think I'm crazy. And I'm pretty sure that you get that all the time, too. It's like you can't just tell anybody.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's times that even at family things, I'll see one of their loved ones, and they're wanting me to tell a message, but I know that it probably won't go over well. So I'm like,
yeah.
You're not something over in their house. I don't know what to tell you. There's certain situations that I kind of just try to ignore it. It's weird when you're at a restaurant and you have to walk up to somebody because the spirit won't leave you alone. You're like, hey, I know you don't know me. There's this guy beside you and he's over here telling me that he's sick and he's throwing up and he loves you. And, that happened to me. And, by the time I'm done talking to her, I waited till I was leaving to get the nerve up to even talk to her. Cause I'm like, she's going to think I'm nuts. All it's going to take is one person to be like, back away, Satan, and I'll be like, all butthurt, cause, and then, she
your mom
started crying. It was her dad. He had just died from cancer and he was very sick. She took care of him. So she was really, she had really been wanting to connect with him and he was there with her. And then by the time I'm done, I look around and there's everybody staring in the middle of Applebee's, I'm like, oh God.
Oh, I told a full-blown report in an airport because I got a long story where I got the TSA. I had a Bigfoot casting going through, so I ended up telling Bigfoot stories. I missed my plane and all this. Long story, just talking Bigfoot. But you know how I got the BMR like that, the picture you can see there of me. So I got stickers made up of those, and I started doing this about 6 months ago. So what I do is when I go to the local gas station or 7-Eleven or diner, without asking them, okay, I put it up. I put the sticker on their doors, right? And especially where I frequent. And I started doing this, and they have never taken them down. So it's like every time I walk in this mobile up the road here, I swear every time I walk in, someone sees it and they says, you kind of look like that dude, but, And so we start. So that's my new way of coming up with conversations, So yeah, because I don't care. I don't care if someone looks at me like, "What, you weirdo?" That don't affect me no more. It did a long time ago. Now I could care less. So in my way, hey, it's a marketing plan, right? So,
Yeah,
but I do that. But you know what though? And I used to do that at my bar. I used to after I had my encounter and stuff like that, I had a questionnaire. Have you seen something strange in the woods? And then I said, and just mark down what you saw. It could be, in anonymity. So, oh, you know what? After about a month, there's like 15 or 20 people say, yeah, they did. And they wrote little letters. Hey, when the bar closes, can we, have a talk? And I spoke to many people that way. And,
Wow.
and we had the closing show not too long ago, but why do we think people are seeing more cryptids and more paranormal? Because I think a lot of people today are talking about it. And I think shows like this and the other shows, Amber, what you do, what the Boos do, what I do, Tex does, and everybody else out there, we provide places where people don't feel like we're going to embarrass you. Amber, everything you said, I 100% believe. I take you at your word for it. I would never make fun of you because I believe you. And everybody else that comes on our shows, and the more people that rally around these topics, the more stories we're going to get.
For sure.
Yeah, Chris and I never doubt anybody because Chris will be the first one to tell you, hey, we weren't there. We can't tell you what you saw or what you felt.
Right.
So we believe you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's even if somebody claims they saw a Bigfoot. What if it really was a bear, but they really believe they saw a Bigfoot? Okay. You can't gaslight their experience and their opinions and make them feel like crap about it.
No.
Because
absolutely.
What if they see one next time? You have to at least, I'm not saying like sugarcoat things and say, hey, that, but listen to people and not tell them they're nuts, because we all know this stuff is real. I mean, somebody could tell me they saw, a mermaid riding a Bigfoot, and I'd be like, which way did it go? I'm going after it.
Right. Yep.
Again, and you make a good point because, we should mention that, a lot of people do misidentify things as a Bigfoot, and maybe it was really a bear or a moose. I get that. Still, like you said, I'm not going to tell them otherwise. And as you said, you might see it, a real one, at some other point. And then, and then Tex always says, well, maybe I believe you saw something, but what if it wasn't Bigfoot? Now, what if it was something paranormal? Because I do, and I will side with Tex on this. I think not everything that we see is a Bigfoot, right? It could be something pretending to be one or whatever, which is a whole nother show.
Right.
But, we just don't know what's out there.
Right.
And I want to get this in really quick for Be Kind. She wanted to know what the dragon looked like.
So I didn't see it till I was leaving. I had been filming, trying to figure out what this dog man creature was, because when I saw it, it was like this big muscular, almost like a lion type thing, but it was just all black skin and had black fur to like right here. And it was bare at the back end. So I don't know what type it was. It didn't want me there. It was growling at me and stuff. I finally leave, but I stayed like an hour. But then when I was getting in the Jeep, it was on top of the Jeep and it was just curled up sleeping. It was like literally curled up sleeping, and it was green and it had a little bit of red in its wings. Like the little, I don't know what they're called, whatever those wing things are, but it was just laying there, just sleeping. And it was just so serene. It was not scary at all. It was just like, it felt very peaceful.
Wow.
Love to like have him come over for coffee. I need to get a hold of him again.
Speaking of winged things, are you familiar with Point Pleasant, West
Yes.
Virginia? So that's the legendary store of the Mothman. You have any stories on that? Have you heard about that? What's your thoughts? Yes,
I've been there a few times. I do plan to go back when it warms up a little to film. I've been to the bunkers quite a few times. It's hard to video in there because it echoes really bad. But somebody was I was at a Paracon recently, and somebody was telling me that if you go past, like the main three bunkers are kind of like, you still have to walk a good ways, but somebody said if you walk on past the lake, that there's a couple of them and one of them had exploded from the inside and they don't know how it happened. I want to go investigate further. I've walked around Point Pleasant quite a bit. That'll probably be my next, when I go there, I'm definitely going to try to channel Mothman. He's definitely a good guy though. He's not, I don't think he's just like he warns people.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I had read or people have spoken on. In fact, I bring that up because I did a Mothman video. Some guy sent in one of the subscribers, and I read it. It was kind of weird. You got to go check out the video, but it goes back and forth in Chicago, mind you, because Chicago has been known downtown Chicago actually has been known for Mothman sightings.
Mm-hmm.
And so a guy sends it in. I read it to check it out, but it was really weird how it just appeared on both sides of this bridge and it wouldn't let the guy get the boat out. He kept turning his boat around and around. Then it just boom, kind of like just disappeared. He says it evaporated, but yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Mhm.
So I had to ask you about that because I remember where you live is probably where the Mothman, that their original story took place. So
yeah, I knew I'd heard. I thought it was Detroit, but you said it was Chicago, so it may have been that one. But I'd heard stories of people seeing Mothman from there.
Mhm.
yeah. Well, hey Maggie, thank you for the super sticker. I do appreciate that. And Lily Pond, I do thank you for the super chat. You know, we're coming up on almost an hour. Amber, this is a fantastic show. I'm glad you agreed to come on. And for everybody listening out there, where can we find you outside of YouTube?
Well, I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. I don't do much on Facebook. I don't even know how to stream on there. So
Yeah, you know, I found that out.
stream my videos.
I found that out. Yeah.
I have a podcast on Spotify, and
Are you under TikTok or are you under Amber's ParaWorld?
Yeah.
yes, that I'm under Amber's ParaWorld on Instagram and Twitter.
I'll find you tonight and follow you.
And then my podcast is called The Dead and Me, the same as my book. I got it here. So that's on Amazon.
Well, yeah, you got a lot of stuff to promote. I got to put the links. Send me the links. I'll put them in the description for you.
Okay.
That way people can, check them out for sure. That's awesome.
Trying to do it all before I, have to start over. So
There you go.
That's a good way. That's a very good way to put it. I got to do it all before I have to start over.
Yeah.
Right. See, I
like
have a big fear of frogs, and it's not something like I was born with. Like when I was 17, I literally was attacked by all these frogs, in my opinion. I'm helping clean out this pool. I get all these frogs on me and it freaked me out. I don't like them. I don't want nothing to do with them. So I'm sitting here thinking the other day, I'm like, I have to figure out how to get over this fear because I'm setting my future self up to have to go to past life regression to figure this crap out because I'm afraid of them.
Right.
We got to take care of our fears so that we don't hold on to that.
Yeah, you got to take care of them now so you won't have them later.
Right. I'm like, whoever I am next is going to be terrified of frogs and not have any clue why.
Yeah, you know what? Again, I was starting to end the show, but about this reincarnation. So you believe we've had other lives. It's just that we just don't know about them. Unless you do this regression therapy.
There's a lot of I know a great psychic medium who does past life, and she is amazing. Like she will literally just connect with your energy, and because technically our future selves, our present selves, and our past are all kind of living together, if that makes sense, because we're the only ones who use time. Time doesn't exist, so you can connect with that side of it.
Right.
I did my own type of I don't know, about a year and a half ago. I don't even know when it was, but I was like, okay, I need to know one of my past lives. And it was my most recent one. I died. I literally had all these visions. I saw it all. I died. I was about a year and a half old. Like the dad killed me, and I saw the house it was in. I saw their faces, the other siblings. It wasn't what I was expecting.
Wow.
I had somebody else do a reading for me, and they were like, oh, I think you were like a Catholic priest back in the day or whatever. And I'm thinking that's what I'm going to channel. And it was not what I expected at all. And that was in the early 70s when that happened.
I know I said, hey, we're to cut it short. I just came up with something here. What if you could have a regression therapy where you can maybe find out about if you had a past life. Is that correct or no? Or did I miss something?
Yes, you can. You can do. There's people that can hypnotize you, do that kind of stuff. But there's also people that can just look at you, do a reading with you, and just pick it up like that.
I don't know if I'd want to do. I mean, I know that I was probably a good person if I had a past life. But what about somebody that, let's say that, yeah, you were a bad person. I mean, and would you want to know that? Like if any of us sitting here, the four of us, if you went through that and they said, hey, yeah, Krista, you killed 4 people, one day because, your hair wasn't curled properly. So you pulled out a gun and killed 1 million people, 4 people, and you found that out. Would you want to? I don't think I'd want to know that.
Well, all
I
of
mean,
it's
would
kind of
you?
connected.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
You're there to learn lessons, but also to fix things too. I have a friend who was actually in her last past life. She was friends with certain elites that may or may not be passed away right now. In a certain ring with people, and her job now, she's a medium, but she is trying to help expose
okay.
the dark into the light. She's trying to bring this forward and change things. You can't do what happened then, but
Right.
she's trying to make a difference now.
Well, I get that. You would turn that negativity into a positive, like we've been
Right.
talking about all night. So now that does.
Yeah.
Now I feel better about it. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
There you go.
So
I mean,
Amber, thanks.
Some
Oh,
of us
go
that
ahead.
have like 100 past lives, or 200 or
Yeah,
80. So
that would
there's
be
a lot.
cool.
Yeah.
I got to think about what I was. And I'll get back with you on that. I don't know.
Do some past life meditations and see what you see.
I might have to.
He'll make up something really good, I promise.
I have a playlist on my channel called My Favorite Meditations. I throw some in there. They're not mine, of course. They're just ones I love and I recommend to people a lot. And there's probably some in there.
Cool.
Yeah, this was a great show, Amber. I'm really happy that you agreed to come on. And Brandy, Krista, any closing thoughts before we leave?
No, I think she's been an awesome guest, and down the road, maybe, I'd like to have you on Blondes too sometime.
Yeah, let's do it. If y'all go to Mackey's, holler at me. I think it's like 4 hours from me.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Blondes and Booze, what we got going on Thursday and Friday for everybody?
Thursday evening, we have Robbie Rains. And then on Friday evening, we have Robin Terry and Mike Couch. Robin Terry owns Ashmore Estates, and Mike Couch owns the Rhodes Hotel. And they've got some really cool stuff to talk about. I mean,
Yeah.
And Robin Terry also owns the original Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo. So pretty cool.
Wow,
That's
sweet.
awesome.
Yeah.
Amber, you got anything new videos coming out, or you on any shows that we can check out?
Yeah, I've got my Ouija board video premiering Thursday night where we talked to the demonic one. It was, it wasn't super scary. It might be to some people. I just kind of was like, really? But I do have some cool investigations lined up coming up soon. I will be going to a haunted hotel soon and filming there. And
oh wow, yeah.
Do you ever do conventions or anything like that?
Yeah, I go to a lot of like the different ones, like in West Virginia. I'll go to ones in Ohio.
Gotcha.
Go there and talk to people about dead people.
There you go.
We did the same thing.
I love a girl that likes to talk about dead people.
Yes.
Anyways, thanks everybody for joining Beyond BMR with Brandy, Krista, and my lovely guest Amber from Amber's ParaWorld. Go check her out. Don't forget to check us out. Subscribe to Bigfoot, Michigan Rob on YouTube, Texas Front Porch, the Blondes and Booze podcast, Amber's ParaWorld, Jason McLean's Siru Papers, and Bobby Van Buren Variety. Until next time, this is Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. For everybody else,
Good
have
night.
a great night. And thanks.
Bye-bye.